welcome back to Satisfactory Update 8. This is already episode 15, so don't hesitate to check in the video description below if you want to see the full playlist. But if you just want to see this one, if you're interested in particular in turbo fuel, in energy, don't worry, we're gonna cover it all. We're also going to cover a first train, how to do train, the basic for trains. So I hope you're excited for this. As a quick reminder, in the last episode, we indeed unlocked turbo fuel. We did a lot with sulfur, we got the new recipe for compacted coal and then the new recipe for turbo fuel, where we're taking this compacted coal and this fuel to make turbo fuel. This will enable us to fuel those new fuel generators, which are providing 150 megawatts of energy per. This is actually double. If you remember, the coal generator were at 75. And on top of this, this is actually for only 4.5 turbo fuel per minute. So we're actually gonna be able to have a lot of those fuel generators. But before, there's a couple of things that we need to do, right? We need to make a lot of compacted fuel. We need to make a lot of fuel, because in the last episode we made this highway to transport fuel, but it was just crude oil, right? Not the actually refined fuel. So we need to first refine it. And then, as I said, also do our first train. This will enable us to get a lot of energy. So let's dive right in. And it is really high time that we do more energy, because look at this. My energy is gonna go completely out of hand. My max consumption is more than double my current production of energy. And my day-by-day consumption is usually right at my production and sometimes even above. So that's not working. We definitely need a lot more energy. Don't worry, we're gonna jump. So remember that right now we are 2,550, and this is thanks to our 2 coal power plant and also thanks to our petroleum power plant that is actually just below here. You may remember that all of these are actually also coal generators taking the petroleum coke that is made from as a byproduct of my plastic and rubber. But yeah, we have right now 2,500. We have started to transport the crude oil. It is a couple of hours later and we have a train. We have a new block factory over here and you can see some fumes. We actually have a lot of fuel generators, right? As you can imagine, this is where all of the magic is happening. And basically this is going to give me 9,000 of additional electricity. We're not there yet. As you can see, we have now around 9,000, but we already had 2,000 before. So we should get to more than 11,000, but this is slowly but surely increasing because I just turn it on, right? It's gonna take a bit of time, but I guarantee you that by the time I show you, for example, the compacted fuel and maybe the train, we'll be fine. We'll be at more than 11,000. So let's go. Let's start with the compacted coal. Over here, we had this before. Now the train is a bit new, but this is not new, right? We had this road all the way over here. This is getting me to the center of the base. Now you may have realized, if you're paying attention, that this is new though, right? This used to be empty. We just basically connected this line to that one because we're gonna need it for the train. But more importantly, hopefully you can see at the back over there, right? There's a lot of new things. So let's go. This is my compacted coal factory. And maybe you're gonna feel this is a bit underwhelming right now, in the sense that it's actually not producing that much yet, but it is set up to be able to produce a lot more. So actually, before we go down, let's follow those elevators. I think this looks pretty cool with those supports, the big pillar support and then normal big concrete pillars. And then over here, you have 3 Mark IV elevators. So we've started to use indeed the Mark IV. So that's 480 of resources. So that's pretty cool. So going up, it's going up, going up. We have 1 sulfur and 2 coal, if you're wondering. You can see it here also, right? Sulfur, coal, and coal. So here we have the coal, right? It is actually delivered by truck. So we have a truck station there. There's 2 outputs. So that's what you can see over here, right? 2 outputs goes into a storage to make sure we always have storage. And then, I separate them back into 2 layers because again, we're gonna want to transport a lot, right? This is 480, 480. So all of these are Mark IV, obviously. I have also a smart splitter over here to make sure that some coal goes back into the truck station. That way we always have, fuel here. but this is definitely working pretty well. I'll show you the truck. This is actually the first time also that if you go into transport, we've used an actual truck. So it's 48 slots instead of 24. We also have one Manor Mark II over here, 300. It's a normal node, overclock at the maximum, so 300 of sulfur. So this one, is a bit of an overkill because it's 480, right? But if you remember, the Mark III is only 270. So, that's why I moved so that I can have 300 on this. So here is 300, and for those two, we don't know yet, but it can be 480 as long as we produce it. There is also more sulfur at the bottom there, right? You may remember, but we're not using it yet. Right now, even just this 300 is enough. Now we have also added over here a typical highway, and my truck is coming. When I say typical highway, right, it is one of my blueprints that is available on my Discord community for free. So we're doing this, and yeah, this is the first truck, delivering over here. And it's coming from over there. In the last episode, we discovered this plane. Now remember, we also took this hard drive there. So yeah, I extended, over here, a highway all the way there. It's not that far, I could have put belts, but it was a good usage, I think, of our first truck in particular, because this is coal. So by default, you have fuel for the truck. So that's really easy. But yeah, over here, we do basically the same, but inverse, where we have the truck station, which has two inputs, right? Two belts, Mark IV, with the storage container also has two inputs, right? And that's two belts, Mark IV, two elevators, Mark IV. And as you can see over here, both of these are actually taking as input 480, so the maximum, right? So 490, 400, I haven't made it super pretty. How do we get to 480? Well, this is a pure node. With two of these, you get to 480. If I put one more, I'm going to get obviously even higher, but I don't have a belt that can enable this, so that's a bit useless. But yeah, we have those two miners, right, that are working quite well and sending 480. And then there is a third one there that we haven't even turned on, but that's also a pure one. So we could even increase it further, either by putting a third belt, but then I will also probably need, a second truck station, or by having a higher level belt in the future. So yes, with this, we're bringing already tons of coal, way more than what we need, and we're bringing 300 of sulfur, right? Oh, there's one there too. I don't think I've checked that one out, so we can also check it out together just now. Let's go. This is probably protected, and I probably don't have what's needed to open it. But yeah, we're bringing the coal, right? That's worked well. That goes down here, and it actually doesn't go onto this main floor where the train goes on the floor below, right? See it over here. And for now, as you can see, I'm only using one of those coal because we don't need more. And we have over here all of the sulfur. It's gonna go over here into, what was it, 12, I think, if I remember correctly. 2, 4, 6, yeah, 12 assemblers to make compacted coal. If you're following, we're taking 25 of sulfur each, times 12, that's exactly 300, so exactly what we're bringing. And then we're taking 300 of coal, which is less than what we're bringing, so that's fine. And with this, we're making also 300 of compacted coal, right? So that is a very good one over here, right? It's merged on this side and follows here and goes all the way over here and then goes on this elevator. Before we look, just wanted to also share in the middle, obviously, right? We have the coal at level 3, and at level 0 we have the sulfur, right? So that's a normal manifold. Don't hesitate to tell me if you have any questions, but I think at this point in the game you probably understand this. And yeah, we're sending basically all of this compacted coal into a storage there, and then it goes into our freight platform, first freight platform for train. Now this storage is super important, because what happens with trains is as soon as a train comes in, those belts here that are sort of inputs into the train, they're gonna stop working. So you really want to have this industrial storage over here to make sure that you continue getting resources into your storage. The train is not here, it must be all the way over here. But you can see this is a very simple one, right? We actually have one train station, one freight platform, and then just one empty platform. This is basically the minimum. You can do obviously way bigger. You could have multiple freight platforms, for example. And if you're paying close attention, you can also see that there's only one railway. In many of the YouTubers, Let's Play, you may see multiple railways or at least two, so that your trains will also always go in one direction, right? So for example, this would be the left to right, and then you have a second railway which would be the right to left. But you can definitely do this. This is working, as you can see. This to work though, it's best to have two locomotives, one in the front and one in the back in the sense, right? So this one will drive this side, this one is driving that side. And this is basically why I have this empty platform to make sure the train can go in. Now we can also go into it to follow it, right? I will explain, don't worry, how to do it in a second, but just, let's enjoy this. We are at a speed, even if it doesn't feel like, we're at a speed of 120 kilometers per hour. So that's pretty good. Those lights over here can be annoying sometimes, but yeah, you can also, by the way, move around to see your train. I think it's a pretty cool looking train. Now we arrive at a computing factory over here, right? The oil, and soon we'll be at a turbo fuel factory over there. I don't know if we're already at the max, more than 11,000. The brakes, so all of this is automated, and it's actually even easier to automate in my opinion than the trucks, because you don't even need to automate it yourself. I'll show you in a second. But yeah, we have arrived, so we can come out. As you can see, there's also a cool animation where the cargo is going to be taken out of the train and delivered into this, and then it's gonna come out over here, right? So we have right now only one belt Mark IV because I really don't need more. In the future, we could have multiple, right? At least two, and again, I could have even more. And that will go into our factory. So that's the compacted fuel that is transported. Now let's talk a bit about trains in general, right? Let's use this space that we have over here. So as I said, we need to obviously have a train station. This is where your locomotive is going to be. So with this train station, by the way, you have a direction where you can see the arrow. What you want to do is you want the arrow to be in the direction that the train is going to come in. So for example, the train must come this side and then we'll go this arrow. If I have a train that's coming this side, that's not going to work. The arrow is going to block it. So you have to be careful. Then after this, you're going to want to probably place some platforms, either for normal freight, or also for fleet. You can transport fleet, contrary to the trucks. For the trains, you can definitely transport fleet like water or crude oil. And then if you want, you can have the empty platforms. There are two of these just to make the space a bit better. And then of course the railway, right? You're going to want to drag your railway from where you start to the end. You will also have blocked and pass signals. We'll probably discuss this in the next episode, because in this episode, I don't actually need any of these signals, because there is only one route, right? It goes from this to there, and there's only one train. So there's no need for any signal. It works perfectly without. Once you've done this, obviously, you're gonna put your locomotive. You can change its size, right? And basically you're gonna put as many freight cars as you have freight platform. Again, this is a very simple one where there's only 2 stops. We can do multiple stops too in the future. I'll show you that. But this is really the basics of a train. I do want to show you quickly how to also set up a train route. So when you're in your train, right, you can press Q to get into this timetable. Edit the timetable. You can see these are my 2 stations that are linked on this route, right? There's only 2. I could put more if I wanted, but you just put those 2 stations, you press save changes, then turn on the self-driving. Right now it's already on, so that's why it's saying turn off, but you turn it on and then you can just leave and it's gonna start on its own. And by the way, one thing that is really cool with the railway and train station is it actually transports electricity. So you don't need to have power poles actually between, right now I used to have power poles below the highway there, right? Like there's one here, you can see this is the line. but that's actually not needed. As long as you have, a station, I can just take the energy from that station and we'll be good. So that's a pretty cool thing. Now, in the last episode, we brought a lot of crude oil, right? We have something like 450, 600, and 600 of crude oil. With this first block, I'm only using one. This is 600 of crude oil that's used over here. I'm going to show you how. So we have the pipe that goes there, and then we'll go to the level above. You can see it, it's that pipe there. So we have a door, but we also have the power switch, so we can turn the whole thing on and off. And we'll also have what's happening. We are actually not taking, to be precise, 600 of crude oil, we're taking 540. I could take 600, but you may remember that I said in the last episode that there is sometimes some bugs with the pipes Mark II when you get to 600. So 540 to transform into 360 of fuel and also 270 of resin. So let's go in so I can show you. So to start with, big industrial buffer to make sure we always have enough, even when there's a small problem somewhere. So that's full, and then that's just gonna go in the middle there, right? And be transformed or be split into all of my refineries. We have 9 of those refineries taking 60 each. So that's why I stopped at 540, because the next one would have been exactly 600. This is making, fuel and polymer resin. So that's what's happening on the outside. We have the polymer resin going down, and we have the fuel, staying at the same level. With fuel, it's always better to keep it at the same level, so you don't have to play with pumps. We have the same thing happening on the other side, where it's being merged, because remember, this is only 40, so 360 in total in a Mark II belt, and that's totally fine, to then go into this fluid buffer that is almost full, as you can see. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And then at the bottom, now let me show you, all of the resin comes down, right, and then it's being merged into one belt, Mark IV, and then it can go into this awesome sink here. So that's giving me some coupons. Of course, we can also do things with the resin, but for now, I decided not to. I don't really need to. We have the electricity as always, easily going at the top there, right? So that's how we're making 360 of fuel. And then this fuel is going to be sent to the level above with a Mark II pump. The elevation is only 29 and it can do 50, so that's not a problem. And then it goes to the next level where we're going to start making a turbo fuel, right? So it comes here, right? This is the pipe where it comes, the fuel. It's going to go over here in the middle. Level 0, you have the fuel. And at level 3, you have a compacted coal that was coming, you may remember, it was coming from my train, right? It comes from the train, comes down here, and then goes over here. We can make that a bit more pretty in the future, but it's working, right? So it's being split. Now on each side, we have 8 of these. So 22.5 times 8, this is 180. And then you do the same, on the other side, so 180 again. So that's 360. This is exactly what we're making. So this is perfect for productivity, right? And that's why you can see they're all green, perfectly green. So with this, right, we're making a lot of turbo fuel. We are using a lot of our compacted coal, of course, right? To be precise, we're actually using 240. And then in terms of turbo fuel, it's 18.75 per minute for each of those refineries. So we're actually talking about 150 there, 150 there. So 300 in total. I could have put everything into Mark II belt and in one, of these industrial buffer, but actually that would have made things slightly more complex for the future. So instead, what I decided is this is a Mark I, right? There's no need for a Mark II, and we have a fluid buffer on this side. And then similarly over here, we have a Mark I and a fluid buffer on that side. We're gonna use quite a few pumps, of course, right? You can see a pump here, for example. There's also a pump here, right? It's going up. And then the idea is that for each of those lines, we're going to have 2 levels of those fuel generators. So there's 1 level here, 1 level there, 1 here, 1 there. So that's 4 level, right? Because we have 2 lines here. So basically this line here is going to be sent first over here. And then basically, it goes there, then goes all the way in the back, goes all the way here, and then it continues over here, right? Continues all the way over here, all the way over there, all the way over there, and finishes here. This is the end of it, if you wish. And then for this one here, we're actually sending it there, then it continues there, 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 it continues, and it's for level 3 basically that it starts, and we do the same. It goes here, all the way there, then goes up, and goes here, all the way, and comes here, right? So that's how we're going to make a lot of electricity, right? Because we're talking basically on each of these floors, there is 15 of this fuel generator. So we're talking about 15 plus 15 plus 15 plus 15. So we're talking about 60 of these fuel generators. And remember that each of them is making 150. So that is basically 9,000 of energy. Now, they are not all online yet, as you can see, I think. Here they were, but here there's 2, 3 that are not online because this is the end of the line, right? So slowly but surely, you know, those things are getting full. Right? This one is full, for example. This one is not full yet, but you can see that those two are getting full. Like this one is full. Soon those ones will be full. And when those ones are really full, then this one will get full. And so slowly but surely, you know, we're going to get more and more to the end here. So it's sent over here, right? And as I said, it starts over here, then we have the splitter, right? Goes here, then continues. So it's a pretty simple setup. You know, there is only one input, which is a turbo fuel, no output. You do need to connect them to electricity. So that's why you'll see conveyor poles over here, or power poles, sorry, over here in the middle, and also over here in the side, right? But that's pretty much it. You know, it actually took a lot of time because you can't really blueprint this. Right? This building is basically too big for blueprints, and then you have to do this manually, right? So this was a lot of manual effort, to be honest, but it's pretty simple at the end of the day, right? The only thing you have to be careful of sometimes is that your pumps are going high enough, right? But apart from that, that's pretty much it. And then, as I said, you know, so these are the first 2 floors, and then the other turbo fuel goes over here and starts here, and we have the same. So, I mean, obviously don't hesitate, you know, if you have any questions, thoughts or requests. But yeah, this took way too long, to be honest, to do a time lapse, but it wasn't that hard. And as you can see, yeah, slowly but surely we're getting to more than 11,000, which is going to be a lot more than our max consumption, and more importantly, a lot more than our actual consumption. This whole factory did increase my consumption because we do have quite a bit of refineries, right? And those refineries over here at the bottom, they do take some electricity, all right, 330 each. But yeah, I'm pretty proud of it. And what's really cool with this, you know, the reason also I made it vertical like this is I can replicate this pretty easily. You know, I can take this whole thing that I did, I can do the exact same thing over here with the second pipe there, right? Like I just take the second pipe of crude oil, I send it over here, and I do the same exact thing. We're going to transform it into fuel. Then in the level above, we're going to transform into turbo fuel by sending a bit more of this compacted coal, because we're only using, you know, a bit more than 200, and we can make way more than this. And then basically we make 4 floors of generators, right? And then I can do the same again with the third crude oil pipe that's over there. So it's a really easy one, you know, in sort of modularity to expand as soon as I need energy. The only problem is, again, it's pretty manual. And the only other thing is at some point I'll probably need a second of these to be able to transport enough of the compacted coal. But again, that's super easy. I just need to add one of these over here. I add one more freight car, you know, to the train, and that's it. The train will work without any problem. So yeah, I know this is not the most beautiful factory as always, but it's so efficient, right? It doesn't take a lot of space. It's very compact and it is very modular. I'm really proud of it, and I'm really happy that we've used our first train and that we're basically good on electricity for a while, so we can move now to the next step. Next step being quite important. In the next episode, I want to complete phase 3 of the elevator. Right, we have 2 new goods that we need to make so that we can move to the last 2 tiers of early access. So please smash the like button, tell me in the comments what you want to see, and I hope to see you next time.